this has taken our business, might sound cliche, but to the next level. And that was seeing every single prospect first by categorizing what a lead is. And to us, a lead is anybody who has expressed an actual interest in actually selling their property now or in the near future. That kind of seems a little broad, but when we start discussing how you have that conversation with the seller, you'll understand why that's an important qualification.
Christian, thank you for joining me for our Thought Leader Spotlight series. I'm your head of partnerships over here, Matt Camp, and on these, we really like to shine a spotlight on industry experts like yourself, hear your inspiring story and see how you see the real estate world evolving. So today, really excited to welcome on Christian Weatherspoon. I know you're a Christian husband, father, and entrepreneur specializing in real estate investing and real estate investing education. Been an active investor since 2009 and have helped thousands of new and seasoned real estate investors start and scale their business. And I know your Real Estate Investing Made Easy group is a weekly mastermind with the goal to help you achieve time and financial freedom, really teach you proven systems, tools, and tech to get you there, doing more deals in less time. So Christian, welcome on, man. Excited to have you.
Hey, I really appreciate the introduction, Matt. It's a pleasure to be here, honored as well. And I'm excited just to add as much value as I can in your community and love the opportunity. So thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah, I know I told a little bit about your background there, but can you maybe talk to our audience? Because a lot of them are trying to either do that first deal or maybe they've done a couple deals looking to scale. Like, can you tell us more about your personal story and how you got into real estate?
Yeah, Matt, and man, I've been there, right? I know every successful investor that we learn from and have learned from and that are out there right now, they started there, trying to get their first deal done. And I would love to share a little bit more insight, especially because that was me. And it was me for a long time. I started actually on the education side first, and that was doing video production and instructional design, creating content and courses and training for adult learning. And it was all surrounding real estate investing. So here we are, and that's flash forward from 2009 to present. And it really inspired me during that time where I was doing the content and creating the educational content for it. And I thought, man, much like you, if you're just getting started in real estate, I would be silly not to do this, right? Especially with all the knowledge that you're gaining, and that is also accessible to your fingertips for free online. But I just realized, man, I got to start this. So I started it back in about 2009. I didn't waste any time, and it took me like a year plus to get my first deal. So I understand how it can feel to be striving. And I'll tell you, when I did start, the sky became the limit at that point in time. And I just realized I need to scale. So I continued to pour in my education. And then I created, after having gotten let go in the time of, the pandemic and all that, then I decided to start my own real estate education company to focus specifically on leveraging technology to increase deal flow and pointing people to where they can go in terms of what to learn so they're not taking rocking chair motion action, because we can get really busy and we can take a lot of massive action. I've heard a lot of people talk about you just need to take action, which is only half of the truth. The other part is you got to take the right type of action instead of taking the wrong action, because it'll just lead to demotivation if you don't. On the other hand, if you're taking the right action, following proven paths, then of course it will lead to success in that. So that's kind of my story, how I got started. Little silly side note is that my business partner said, I want to start, instead of just investing in real estate, I want to start the education side. And I said, I want to take a break from that, man. I got to focus on the scale of the business. So instead, he twisted my arm. I love the education side. I love helping people grow into their best selves and to scale their businesses so that they can have more. And I always say this: financial flexibility, okay, and time freedom. So that is why we're here today. So that's a little bit of a background on me and how I got started.
Yeah, Christian, I 100% agree. Like you said, taking the right action is, where we need to help guide our audience. And it's not just like action for being busy's sake, but the right actions lead to the outcomes we're actually looking for, right? So can you tell me more about what that right action looks like, how to get out there, and find those opportunities? And then especially, I know marketing is something that our audience is always asking about and you have a passion for. If you could talk more about like marketing methods that actually work.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as marketing, I'll start here. The methods that work. This might shock you a little bit, but all marketing works, some better than others, and it's all contingent upon your audience. Because if you don't have the right list, the right data, then no matter how successful and how awesome your marketing method is, you're going to be speaking to an empty room. Nobody is going to be listening, even if it's full, because your message is going to fall on deaf ears. So it really starts with making sure you have good data. The integrity of your data is paramount to the success of any marketing campaign. And of course, we're talking about outbound lead generation, right? As opposed to something like PPC or PPL, that's inbound lead generation, of which we do both. In addition to that, we found a lot of success even through the 10DLC A2P regulations and restrictions with text message marketing. We kind of got it down to a science. We, year over year, had been sending over 2 million text messages every single year. So people who are doing this at a high volume, they look at that and say, wow, that's a lot, even
Mm-hmm.
though they're still also sending a lot of texts. So as far as how to start increasing your lead generation, it starts with finding the good lists that are actually niche and targeted, because otherwise you're just going to waste your time, effort, energy, and money. So direct mail does work, but I would recommend that in a niche capacity, right? Depending on the list that you're targeting, and know your demographics. So that the second step to that, a successful marketing campaign is researching your market, right? And understanding the demographic that you're targeting. If as a millennial ish, I guess I kind of fall on the cusp, the marketing piece is a male, I'm probably not going to see it. Probably not going to see it. I don't check my mail that often. All my statements are electronic. I don't turn on the mail, to receive those types of pieces of information for anything that I have. So I don't check it as frequently as I should, I guess, but neither does anyone else in that demographic. So that's an important piece too, as well. That just goes with, getting good data, researching your market, knowing your demographic, and then choosing a niche. Those are really the types of practices that are going to ensure that whatever marketing channel you're using,
Mm-hmm.
it will have a higher rate of success. And that's kind of the foundation of it. So without that, and of course striving for dollars, right? I mean, we all know if you see it, then you can take action. And obviously with DealMachine, it's a click of a button, ostensibly, so that makes it easy as well. But it's not resting your laurels on one marketing method, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it ebbs and flows. And I mean to say that when it came to text message marketing, people may have known about the 10DLC that was pending, and a lot of investors, what I witnessed was they started running for the hills. So I say, when everybody starts running for the hills, run for the valley, because you're going to be the one who's left. It's not about who's best, it's about who's left, right? So we all have our cell phones right next to us. And that kind of leads me to not just text message marketing, but what we've found is cold calling and how to make it easy. Obviously, we started real estate investing made easy. And while everything that you said was absolutely true about why we do what we do and how we interact with people that we teach, coach, and train, our main goal, in so many words, is to make it easy. And what can be easier than the next marketing method that we started to utilize, notwithstanding the FCC regulations that you may have heard about, is AI cold calling,
Mm-hmm.
also AI lead management. Because again, lead management in and of itself is a form of marketing. I would qualify that lead that isn't ready yet to sell, but very soon in the future, in kind of the limbo between a prospect and a lead for your business. They may be a lead because they're qualified to sell, but unless you stay in front of them, they're not your lead. Somebody else who continues to follow up. Remember, it's not about who is best, it's about who is left. So if you're continuing to follow up with that prospect, and this is evidenced over whether it's text message marketing or cold calling in our own business and the businesses of those in our mastermind, they get the deal for that one person who's been on the fence about selling for the last year, 2 years. In fact, one of our most profitable deals, we even did a case study on our YouTube channel. It was net to us 220,000, 200 and something dollars. I should
Wow.
know down to the penny, shouldn't I? But that was somebody in our follow-up sequences, and we did this automatically, but that lasted for about a year and a half until they finally sold to us. And one of the chief reasons because we were the ones that were consistently just saying, hey, we're here to help. Hey, we're here to walk you through the process. I understand you're not looking to sell right now. And in the beginning, it was no, 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 which tells you what? That no doesn't mean no in this context. It means not right now.
Yeah, I love how you define action. You know what the right actions are to take, how to think through marketing channels in that way. I do want to get to AI. I love what you're touching on there, but the one thing you did mention as well is like, hey, it's important to pull it. You know, when you're looking at list building, having a niche list that you focus and really target in on and understand that demographic is really important. Can you give some examples of lists that you guys are working right now, or you see successful, like or maybe just the framework of how you think that through?
So when it comes to masterminding lists, the framework that I like to use is just thinking about it from the perspective of putting myself in the shoes of what is ostensibly an avatar. So take, for example, a market that is starting to appreciate year over year, like a good rental market or a good market where there's a lot of investor activity, which is very important to know and understand. And that is why I said in the beginning, researching your market is important. Well, you have, let's just assume, a lot of buyers that you're ready to wholesale to. You know that they're actively buying properties because you've picked up the phone and had these conversations, and you know their buy box. How to find that buy box, right? Well, to find and identify a motivated seller, they are going to fit into a few categories. I had mentioned code violations, but that's not exclusive, right? There are definitely more types of motivations. So I look at it and think about, if I were in a need to sell my property, what might be some contributing factors? Now, I'm relatively young, but one good way that I've processed lists before is I thought, okay, if it's a massive home and the square footage is really big, and say it's 2 stories, specifically 2 stories, and the age demographic of all of the owners in this list are 65 and older. And with what I use to get the information to curate lists, it also lets me categorize it by age. So I look 65 older, and it lets me categorize if they had kids in the home or not, and ostensibly kind of what their age range is. So if they're 65 years and older, they have a massive house, and they're empty nesters, that's one way to mastermind that list. In addition, it may not be the only factor. You could pull that list. You could see success with that type of list, but I would add on something else that is a pain point. And it doesn't have to be pre-foreclosure, but it certainly can be. It can be tax liens. It could be years of ownership and the age of the house. So if it's a really big house, say it's 2,500 square feet, and it's, maybe that's not big, but 3,000 square feet, 2 stories, and it was built in 1952, and then you look at the street view, right, ostensibly in that neighborhood, and it looks like that's not really the best neighborhood. They may want to move and downsize and then take that money, especially if it's in a more affluent area where you have already researched the market and you know that there's been a spike in home values. So they could have bought it 30 years ago for $100,000, and today on the market, say it's free and clear, it's worth $700,000. That type of person that fits that profile will be much more likely to be a motivated seller than somebody who you just, throw spaghetti at the wall and kind of just pull a list and say, let me target this because I was told I need to get data, and then cold call or text or any other method.
Yeah, I love how you think about layering, like you said, layering in kind of that property criteria, like large houses like that, and then also seller criteria when it comes to demographics and potential motivations to sell. So, yeah, great example. Can you dig in further on the AI side and how to incorporate AI in this entire process and use that as effectively as possible for generating more deals?
Yeah, and I love that question too, right? Digging into the AI stuff, because we're at this kind of infancy stage of AI, and even
Mm-hmm.
at its infancy stage, it still is very mind-boggling. In the beginning, it was kind of hard to tell, but a little bit you could tell that the AI, in terms of the voice that is being listened to, was a robot, right? And you could trip it up and ask it lots of questions, and then it would go off on tangents. Well,
Mm-hmm.
it's only been about 8 to 9 months that we've been working on the AI cold calling platform, and we had called it AI cold callers. And actually it's still up, aicoldcallers.com, but like we'll reroute it to what is now the Made Easy CRM, because when we started with the AI cold calling, it actually started to produce results. And again, it's about the list. The demographics that we chose to target to AI cold call, they seem to not even know that it was an AI bot. But when we kind of expanded into the newer kind of, I guess, closer to Simi Valley area in California and the more affluent areas, they started to catch on. Well, now it's not so. In fact, the way in which we use it to cold call is we'll plug it in, and then it'll make one call, and it can automatically follow up as many times as you select it to follow up. And what we found is that when we admit that we're AI, and that is when we program that bot or that agent, let's just call it, to say, and as an answer to the question, are you AI? Just say, yes, I am. We're artificial intelligence, but we have a perfectly capable team that's able to handle all of your needs that come up with the sale of your property if you're interested in selling. So that's on the prospecting side. But what we found a lot of success with was on the lead management side, or opt-ins from other marketing campaigns. We talked briefly PPC, paid lead and stuff like that. So the inbound lead generation, you have a feature where you can click to call right away. So if it's 2:00 in the morning and that seller is in distress and they're like, I need a solution now. I have not been able to sleep because I'm in pre-foreclosure. My auction date is set. They find your ad and then they go to your website, right? Whether it's on YouTube, because a lot of YouTube advertising is great, and then they can get a call right away. And they don't care if they're talking to a robot or not, but they won't be able to tell, because it's mind blowing. Like I couldn't even tell. It was easy for me to suspend disbelief.
Wow. Is the AI just that good, or did you make any tweaks that you think is like, contributing to that, or?
We did. So we did make changes. And when I say we, I don't mean me, because I'm not that smart. My expertise is in real estate investing and scaling teams. But my team that is working on it, they were able to adjust all of the intonation, the speed, there's kind of an empathy filter, if you will. So if you're targeting probates, whether it's soft spoken or not, and that is for every single language, of which it speaks 11, and growing, of many dialects inside of those languages, and all that to say there's kind of stock voices, over 125 different AI voices, whereas there was a massive competitor. And you guys, if you ever go to Real Estate Investing Made Easy's YouTube channel, you'll know who I'm talking about, but they only had like 7 different voices, and there was no functionality that existed to adjust it. So when my team was building this, they said, well, we need all of these contributing factors to be able to make it connect more with prospects, even if it admits that it's AI, which again is pretty astonishing. You would be shocked having a conversation with them and asking that question and hearing them say, yes, I am actually artificial intelligence, because you hear them breathe. It's crazy. That's actually programmed in, but it works. And it just works as good as cold calling has ever worked. And we know that cold calling works. So all that said, the FCC regulations came out and said that we're going to categorize, and by the way, it's a branch of Congress that regulated and by Congress that passes the laws. So the FCC said we're going to identify AI cold calling as robocalls, and the same category as robocalls. So I caution everybody who wants to use it that way, just to say it is a awesome lead management tool as well. So that's just kind of a little disclosure.
Yeah, no, that's super helpful for our audience. I mean, that's so interesting. So if you're thinking about that, you're pulling lists and building lists, driving for dollars, doing all these different things to be able to find the right people, and then you're reaching out in the ways that are going to make them respond in the best, in the highest likelihood of having a conversation. When it actually comes to that conversation with the seller and you need to make an offer, I know you guys have great advice typically on coming in and like, how do you separate yourself from other investors, other wholesalers with your offer? Can you talk through what that looks like in terms of like giving options to the seller, and really how to just close more of those leads that you're talking to?
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for asking that. It always excites me to share this information, because this has taken our business, might sound cliche, but to the next level. And that was seeing every single prospect first by categorizing what a lead is. And to us, a lead is anybody who has expressed an actual interest in actually selling their property now or in the near future. And that kind of seems a little broad, but when we start discussing how you have that conversation with the seller, you'll understand why that's an important qualification. Because if they really are interested in selling, it doesn't matter if they want to list the property, if they don't want to list the property, if they want a higher price than your wholesale, whatever, 70 cents on the dollar. I will say, though, in some markets, it's different, right? That Mayo formula doesn't always work in every market. We're buying 87% of ARV in San Diego, California, versus other parts of the country like Florida, we're buying 57% of ARV. So it is absolutely drastically different. And we'll see motivation to actually want to sell as the number one thing that separates us, because when we have the conversation with them on the phone, we just ask them all, the basic 4 pillars to gather the information, right? Motivation, time frame, expectation, condition of the property, and we assess their timeline as to whether or not we can pull off creative strategies where they may have a desire to get a specific amount. We then have to dig into, what do you want to do with that money? What are you going to do with it? One tip that I will share with you that in the future as you scale your real estate investment businesses is this. Every single seller is a potential private money lender. So keep that in mind, because with our pitch, as we talk about purchasing their properties, we're asking them what they want to use the money for. And it's not in so many words, right? We ask them in a different way. But to cut to the chase, the reason why we want to know is because if they think they need liquid, walk away money, cash in the bank, $500,000, I got to tell you, I don't know very many people, actually, I don't know anybody who needed $500,000 liquid in their bank account outside of the investing world. I got to say, it's probably only drug dealers or somebody else you don't want to get involved with. It's like, I need that money and I need it now. So what's happening to that money? Your audience knows it's losing value. Look at US debt clock, right? 30 plus trillion dollars in debt. Inflation, no matter who's in office, right? It's not about politics. It's about your money is losing value, and your checking account is giving you a 0.00005% return on the money in your checking account, and savings aren't much different. So you got to ask them, what are you going to do with the money? That can give you 2 things, either a future private money lender or seller financing as an option. It opens the door to that conversation. And then, depending on what they need to walk away with, you may discover that they actually don't need $500,000. They just, not right now anyway, they just need 30, 40, 50 grand to put as a down payment on another house. And then you're able to use that information to structure an offer that benefits them. And if they don't need to sell right away, but your cash offer still doesn't make sense, you have to approach it from different angles. So we teach what we call the creative REI intensive, where we focus on helping investors go from 1 to 2 deals out of 10 to 3 to 4 deals out of 10. And by 10, I mean 10 leads, 10 qualified leads to close, so that you just increase your closed deals without increasing your lead flow. Because leads, no matter how you slice it, they are gold. And no matter if they're a $250 cost per lead, a $1,200 cost per lead, or a $15 cost per lead, you got to treat them all as though that is the next $15,000 wholesale deal. I mean, we got that $220,000 wholesale deal. We didn't know it was going to be that much, not until we really started looking at the numbers. But at the end of the day, that's how you create a scalable business, by not just, practicing your pitch and getting better on the phone, practicing the conversation so that you can meet the needs of that prospect, making it customer focused. As much as this is a customer service type of industry, it's also a sales role. So you want to continue to master your craft, while at the same time, in order to do that, you just need additional tools in your tool belt other than just the wholesale offer. Because you could also do wholesale, novations, sandwich lease options. You can do the sandwich lease option transfer, which is basically just assigning that. So there are so many creative ways, not even talking about subject to and seller financing purchases, for wholesale transactions, for buy and holds, to grow and scale your real estate investing business and add value to your buyers, to just be successful. So put on your thinking caps. Go out there. Of course, a resource you can use to learn more about that is our YouTube channel, but we're
Mhm.
not the only ones talking about this stuff, right? So it doesn't matter who you follow as long as you know it's the right type of action. Things that I'm telling you right now that will help you scale your business fast and close more deals without having to increase your lead flow.
Yeah, I love that problem solving mindset as well, where you're trying to really truly find a win win for the seller there. You touched on the word scale a few times, and I wanted to make sure to ask this one last thing before I let you go here. On the scaling side, like, one thing I've seen you talk about is saying, hey, create a business that doesn't need you, like create a business that you can remove yourself from in order to get that time freedom, that financial flexibility that you talk about. Can you tell people, like, what does scaling the right way mean to you? Like, what does that look like? And do you have any advice there?
Yeah, I gotta say, there's nothing new under the sun, right? And everything that I've learned, I've had taught to me by other people that I was either paying for or I got the information for free, and I saw the success of those people, and I said, "Hey, I want to do that." So, not reinventing the wheel here, I'll choose to use Michael Gerber's words to answer your question, and that is, if your business requires your presence, you don't have a business, you just have a job. So oftentimes, and you may have experienced this too, Matt, and a lot of your viewers probably feel this way too, if they've started to do deals and maybe they even quit their job, but they can't scale their business. What scale really looks like is removing yourself from that business, because you're probably working even more than you ever did in your day job, but you don't have the benefits. You don't have time off. If you take time off, you stop your business just to a grinding halt, all of your lead flow, all of your deal flow, and it's highly dependent upon you. So, when I talk about scaling, I talk about removing yourself from a thriving business by aligning yourself with people who have conquered the path that you're charting so that you can follow a proven path to success rather than trying to reinvent the wheel and rather than trying to do it on your own, even if you're a solopreneur. Because the number one failure spot that I've seen since 2009, teaching, training, coaching, and even in my own business, has been accountability. And I'm going to say this with a lot of love, because if this wasn't true, we wouldn't be able to be entrepreneurs. But I can tell you that most people are not designed to be their own boss. They're just not. And I can't say that I ever was. This was something I had to learn. And it comes only with accountability. To discipline yourself to do it, it's worth it though. So the easiest path to success is still riddled with obstacles, but sometimes you need somebody who's already at the top of that obstacle to lift that hand down and pull you up.
Love that, man. Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of our viewers, they are either trying to quit that 9 to 5, trying to use this as like a side hustle, or maybe have a small real estate business and might be struggling with exactly what you're talking about. So I love the mindset behind that. To shoot for that goal and make decisions with that in mind, so you don't create something where it's, like you said, more more work for yourself than you even tried to avoid for the first time. So it's yeah, I again, like, this has been awesome, Christian. We'll have to have you back on. Thanks for giving us as much of this playbook as possible. I know we could keep going for quite a while. You guys do a great job of that, of giving away just so much value in what you do. What's the best way for people to connect with you? Is it through your YouTube channel, or tell me more on if if our audience wants to get involved with you guys?
Yeah, I just invite you guys because we really do connect. We give feedback Fridays. Most Fridays, I get on and answer questions, as many as I can that have come in over the last week. So, in terms, it's really free coaching, is what it is. And I brought people on. I'll go on Zoom and then broadcast through there live on YouTube and just answer questions. And there's nothing that's off limits as it pertains to real estate investing. So, the YouTube channel is probably the best way. I'd encourage you guys to check some of that out if you're in alignment with that content. If it really speaks to you and benefits you, then hit the subscribe and stay tuned, man. Engage with us. I'd love to talk to every single one of you.
Fantastic. There we go. We'll link to that below. We have a couple other free resources from our team that we'll link to below. But Christian, thanks so much again. Really enjoyed the conversation. Appreciate your time, man.
It was an honor. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate you too.
Yeah, and to everyone watching over here, this is Matt Camp with DealMachine, and happy deal finding.